you touched nicely on it there. So we're going to go right back to the start because it's just a good way to find. Because a lot of my listeners, we're in the borders, and as you'll know, as I knew, it was very much a rugby or a football for
Hmm.
the male side of sort of sport when you're growing up. So swimming, mountain bike had a bit of prevalence, but I think that's just because where we were. But
Yeah.
so when you're getting into swimming, like, is there a lot of distractions to try to take you away from it? Because obviously, like, as a swimmer, you're very naturally athletic, but when you're younger, like for example, like the PE teachers in ours would probably look at you going, "You're tall, you're athletic, you can run, you're not afraid to commit to something. Like, let's get you in the forwards in a rugby pitch." Did you have this sort of like stave it, like you had to sort of stave it off a bit?
Yeah, so the other like sport that I did like properly was football.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came basically I got moved, my swimming times got moved, so I couldn't go to foot, and I had to make the choice between football or swimming, and I chose swimming. And then going to high school, like it was PO's high school was very much like boys literally only do rugby. There's like no other, well, when we were there was like no it felt like there was no other sport you were doing. It was just rugby. So I felt kind of like not, I suppose, like overlooked. Like they didn't, it kind of felt like they didn't really care as much. They didn't really want anything to do with you unless you wanted to do rugby or hockey. Um, so yeah, it was quite difficult. And then obviously, I don't know, sort of, swimming has that reputation for not being like, some people don't think it's a real sport. Um, and I used to get made fun of all the time for, being in speedos and swimming with other guys. Like people thought it was a bit funny, and yeah, I don't think like just that age, like kids don't understand the amount of work that goes into, because swimming. I remember a stat that got read to me, like the just because obviously when you're in the water, there's no like impact. So
Mm-hmm.
football, the work to rest ratio, I think is 1 to 4, whereas in swimming it's 1 to 1. So you can work for way longer and harder than you can in other sports where you've got like impact on your knees, ankles, whatever. But yeah, it was all about rugby when I was at school. I tried it, but I didn't really fancy it much. I'll be honest.
No, so what was so you pretty much made the decision to focus on the swimming rather than the football as you went into the first year of high school. How does that then change your like? What did a weekly schedule look like for you in the first couple of years of high school in terms of training alongside? So your normal school day was what 8:30 by the time you've got there till about 3:45, 4 o'clock, whatever it was. How many times do you train in a week? Like you said, you're doing 1 to 1 ratios of training to rest.
So I would do 8 sessions. So
Eight
I do,
sessions over 7 days.
yeah, yeah. But we
Yeah.
always got Sunday off, so it was over 6 really.
All right.
So it was like every morning apart from Wednesday morning, I would go down to Selkirk. So waking up at 4:15 to go and
Christ.
train from 5:30 till 7:30, or like quarter to 8. Get in
Mm-hmm.
the car, have breakfast in the car, come straight up, because it was like a 35, 40 minute drive down to Selkirk. So we get back
It's
up
not
and
close then, no.
yeah, I'd just go straight to school. And then after school, I think it was Monday, Thursday, Friday, I would have training after school as well.
So you'd be
Um,
back down to Selkirk after school.
nah, the night sessions were in Peebles, but it was just because like the Borders doesn't really have like what you'd call like an elite swim team. So we had
Right.
this Australian guy came in years ago, and he started like, it was called the Borders Elite Swim Team. So it was like kids from clubs from all over the Borders. He would like invite them to it, and at the start it used to be he would come around the clubs, and then if he saw somebody that he liked or he thought had potential, he'd be like, "I want you to come and train with us in the morning." And that's kind of how I got introduced into like the competitive world of swimming. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, that was quite cool. But yeah,
So
it was
so,
fine. Like first couple of years of high school, like I'd say first to third, maybe even fourth year. But I remember sitting, once you start getting double periods of like maths, history, like try to sit through them. Like I would fall asleep in class sometimes just because I'd been up since 4:15. And when you've got a really boring class going on, it's just, yeah, not fun.
uh, you think they'd get some sort of like you think you get some sort of like respite for it? They'd be like, oh, you don't have to take as many subjects and just recuperate sleep, or
Yeah, nah. It was like I don't know. I don't know.
I can't comprehend that. So you had 8 sessions over 6 days. Was that split like an even? So like you were saying, people don't understand what it takes to be like a swimmer. But I was looking at it, doing the research for this, and it's like there's so much. Like you said, everybody just associates you're just in a pool, like doing lengths, like
Yeah.
endless lengths after that. But it's like there's so much gym work. There's so much like plyometrics and things like that. So like, how was that breakdown of those 8 sessions? Was it like 6 swim, 2 gym, or?
So that was all swimming. So that was 8 2-hour swim sessions.
Right.
And I didn't do any gym at that age. It's only when I moved to Glasgow that I started. So Glasgow, I would do 9 2-hour pool sessions, and then 2 to 3 hour and a half gym sessions. And then if you had like any other like stretching, yoga, or whatever, after. So like it wasn't that bad at high school just because I didn't have the extra. Like now I'm doing like Pilates classes and stuff. So now there's like a lot extra to do with the training. So obviously the hours in the week are way more than it was growing up. But I feel like when you're at school, I don't think you could make. And the old school style of coaching was like you got in, you worked as hard as you could, did as many meters as you could. Whereas now it's very much like that they want to like like other kids that were that age, they'll now do like 5 or 6 sessions a week just because the coaching mentality's changed, and you know that you don't have to do as many. They value quality over quantity now. Whereas when I was swimming, it was like it was just hard all the time, or that's what it felt like anyway.
So there's a bit more like body management in it now, just like
Yeah,
they're trying to look at
because
longevity.
I think they've realised that you're gonna burn out by the time you get to my age. Like if you train that.
Hey, thank you for listening to this Clips episode on YouTube. And then if you want to hear the whole podcast, you can find them on Apple or Spotify, as well as the full video version on this YouTube channel, alongside all the other great content we produce on a weekly basis. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you again on another Clips episode or in the full episode podcast. Tweet us, tag us, let us know what you thought. All the links are down in the description. It means the world that you guys come and support us, so thank you very much.